Let me make sure I'm ready for this video real quick. Got my notes? Check. Pepsi? Check. Sunglasses? Check. Hat? Check. And yes, thick skin? Check. Let's go. Welcome to Golden Bluted, everybody. If you are a college football fan, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button because that's all we do here. Videos every single day. And when you get a chance, go check out our Patreon page. We have a lot of great perks over there. We call our Patreons the shot callers because they call the shots around here. Remember, $5 and up Patreons will get to decide the game that we're going to live stream in the regular season, and you'll get to watch with me, Golden Bluted. And our score prediction contest will be coming back. Every week I'll pick out a game, and my Patreons will pick the score, and whoever comes close to the score wins $20. And you can win as many times as you want. The winners get paid at the end of every month. So for every dollar your membership is worth at the Patreon page, that's how many guesses you'll get on my score prediction contest. So right now is the best time to join Patreon page here at Golden Blue Dude. Let's get one thing straight. The ACC is in dire straits. There is no doubt about that. And they know that they need to expand and draw in some bigger brands so they can renegotiate that TV deal. That is a fact. Where people disagree is, will they get picked apart before they can do that? And if they can't avoid getting picked apart, who will they bring in? Because here's the thing, if they don't expand and draw in some bigger brands to renegotiate that TV deal, the ACC will get picked apart. I'm hearing that the Virginia schools, Virginia Tech, and some North Carolina schools, possibly North Carolina, Duke, Wake Forest, NC State, a combination of some of those teams, possibly Pitt on the outside and possibly Syracuse on an outside chance, but a combination of some of those teams, the Big Ten is definitely interested in some of those teams. Now, the SEC is also interested in the ACC. They're interested in Florida State. They're interested in Miami. They're interested in Georgia Tech. They're interested in Clemson and maybe a few of the North Carolina teams as well. So the ACC has the interest of two mega conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC. They have got to avoid being picked apart. The only way to do that, draw in some big brands. And no, Penn State is not interested in joining the ACC, and the ACC is not interested in bringing in Penn State. I don't know who started that rumor, but that rumor doesn't even make any sense. Penn State would not be the savior of the ACC. That was the dumbest opinion or idea that I've heard so far about conference realignment. Now, I've been saying from the very beginning, about 10 months ago, that the ACC and West Virginia, along with Notre Dame, they're all talking, and they're going to bring those two teams in to basically help save the ACC. And here recently, the talk of Notre Dame joining the ACC as a full-time member in the football aspect is heating up. So it really looks like Notre Dame will join the ACC full-time in football, and that's going to help the ACC have that leverage to renegotiate that TV deal. And on top of that, Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner, he got the D1 Council to do away with the rule for the conferences that have 12 or more members to have divisions in order to have a conference championship. So the ACC could technically just bring in Notre Dame, but I don't think that's enough. I think they're going to bring in Notre Dame and West Virginia. Like I've been telling you, I know for a fact that the ACC and West Virginia, they have been talking. There has not been a formal invite extended to West Virginia. Let's be clear about that. There are some things that West Virginia needs to do to actually get the formal invite. One of those was academics, and West Virginia has been working on academics. The other thing was extending the runway by 1,000 feet to the airport in Morgantown. And guess what? They're extending the runway by 1,001 feet in Morgantown. So West Virginia is doing what they're supposed to do, what they need to do to get that formal invite to the ACC. This is exactly what the ACC needs. They need a big brand like Notre Dame, and they need another big brand, not quite as big as Notre Dame, to bring into the ACC to help with the TV market and to renegotiate that horrible TV deal. Otherwise, they will get picked apart. I already did a video on the numbers of the fan bases in the Big 12. In West Virginia, number one. So the ACC getting West Virginia is twofold. Number one, it helps them to get the leverage along with Notre Dame to renegotiate that TV deal. Number two, it could be a death blow to the Big 12 as far as being a Power 5 conference. The SEC has already gotten the other two biggest brands, and that's Oklahoma and Texas. They were bigger brands than West Virginia, make no bones about that. But now that they're gone and BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston are coming in, West Virginia is now the biggest brand according to the fan statistics. Yes, West Virginia has the biggest fan base in the new Big 12 once Oklahoma and Texas leave. If the ACC comes in and gets West Virginia, that's going to hurt the Big 12 tremendously. So there's more than one thing in play with this for the ACC. It helps them and it hurts the Big 12 at the same time. Just like the SEC, whenever they went out and got Oklahoma and Texas, it helped them tremendously, and it hurt the Big 12 tremendously. I think the Big 12 is in the biggest danger of being picked apart. And the first step, well, the second step after Oklahoma and Texas left is West Virginia leaving to the ACC. And make no mistake about it, West Virginia will be a big, big, big boost to the ACC. Not only are you getting the #1 fan base in the Big 12, once they get to the ACC, they're still in the upper half of the ACC when it comes to fan base. Now, they're not #1, but they're in the upper half. What that's going to do is some of those fan bases that are larger that you're not tapping into because they're not interested in football, you bring in West Virginia, all of a sudden you're going to tap into that more because they'll be more interested in their teams playing West Virginia and Notre Dame. So you'll be double tapping. You'll be getting them for Notre Dame and you'll be getting them for West Virginia. Remember, a lot of former Big East rivalries with West Virginia are in the ACC. You would attract a lot more eyeballs from Pitt fans. You would attract a lot more eyeballs from Syracuse fans. You would attract a lot more eyeballs from Boston College fans. You would attract a lot more eyeballs from Louisville fans. You'd attract a lot more eyeballs from Virginia Tech fans, and you would attract a lot more eyeballs from Miami fans. And West Virginia would probably create some other rivalries with other teams in the ACC. You got Clemson. They have payback on their mind from the Orange Bowl beatdown. You have Florida State. Now, Florida State is more of an outside thing because the only thing they have in common is Bobby Bowden, but it is something in common. And then, of course, all those other teams are geographically in range of West Virginia. So West Virginia will create a lot of rivalries once they're in the ACC. So that's going to help the ACC a lot. So not only are you bringing the #1 fan base of the Big 12 and you're hurting the Big 12, so you're getting the eyeballs of that fan base, you're getting more eyeballs from the fan bases that are already in the ACC. This makes perfect sense, and this is how the ACC can save themselves. Because let's face facts, the ACC isn't going to attract any brands from the Big 10 or the SEC. The Pac-12, that's just way too far out, so they're not getting them as well. So the only conference that the ACC can pick off of is the Big 12. The team that makes the most sense? Of course, West Virginia. Geographically, they fit, and a bonus, they're the #1 fan base in the Big 12. So the ACC gets Notre Dame and West Virginia. The ACC is saved. They have the leverage to renegotiate that TV deal. The teams are more happy. They want to stay in the ACC. But if the current TV contract doesn't get renegotiated as much as they want to be in the ACC, they will leave for greener pastures. The teams that are in the ACC would prefer to be in the ACC. It's just the money doesn't make any sense. So they could go somewhere else and make way more money. So if the ACC can renegotiate that TV deal, those teams would be more than happy to stay in the ACC. They like being in the ACC. They just want more money. And that's how the ACC can get that money that those teams want. Get two big brands, Notre Dame, West Virginia. Both of those brands going to help the ACC tremendously. Notre Dame the most, but West Virginia will chip in their part as well. So that's it, guys. That's the bottom line. If the ACC doesn't do this, then they're doomed. So that's the biggest pushback that I get from everybody. Why in the world would they talk to West Virginia? They don't bring anything, blah, blah. Look, if they don't get Notre Dame and West Virginia, the ACC isn't surviving. Simple as that. So if you are a fan base in the ACC and you don't like West Virginia, well, then your other choice is to go down with the sinking ship. That's your two choices. Go down with the sinking ship or bring in Notre Dame and West Virginia. That's the bottom line. I don't know what else to tell you. So West Virginia will have a choice. They can stay in the Big 12. They truly can. That TV deal is actually a little bit better than the old one, but you're comparing it to an outdated TV deal. Remember, West Virginia has a lot of travel they have to do in the Big 12. You go over to the ACC, if the money's even comparable, maybe it's $1 or $2 million off, I don't know, something close like that. Hey, that offsets the travel, so that's fine. But I think the new ACC deal that they'll be able to renegotiate will be even better than the Big 12's current TV deal, or the new one, however you want to call it. And it's a win-win. It helps West Virginia and Notre Dame, and of course, it greatly helps the ACC as well. Alright, I'm ready for your pushback. Let me have it in the comments section. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.